We are just inside Oxfordshire. Lovely view out there, and I want to be flying my drone over that way somewhere. I'm taking a dog for a walk down there. Once I get Covcam on him, I'll try and figure out how to set it all up again. Covey, come here, mate. This is a bit I always tend to struggle with. Come here, you're not going to go on the road. No, good boy, come here. Right, that goes in like that, I think. Or like that even. Right, okay. I think that goes in like... Nope, that's not right either. Right, bear with me a moment, okay? I never get this right first time. Hang on, Covey. Hang on, Covey. That's weird. How do I do it, Cov? I forget how to do it, mate. I gave up with Covcam. I forgot how to put it on, actually. That's not very good, is it? Anyway, so it's probably not a good thing to have it on him all the time. Just because I think, if you cast your mind back several weeks ago when I had my little incident on the River Kennet, where the drone decided to go slightly AWOL, and it crashed into the water. Yeah, that wasn't very good, was it? But the drone was fine, this was fine, but the battery wasn't. So I went out and bought another battery to replace the other one, but then I suddenly realised, hang on a moment, this thing's under guarantee. So then I took the other battery back and they gave me a free one. Well, a free one, they exchanged it, the duff one for a good one. So that was a bit of a winner, but I've got 4 batteries now rather than 3, which is fine, which just means I got more flying time. Because each battery you get about half an hour, depending what you're doing with it. If you put it on super duper speed, you get about 20 minutes. Put it on normal speed, and you get a bit less. Right, take off with caution. Yeah. This is very much a place where I used to come to as a kid. Me and Mr. Wiltshire Man would grab our gear, our fishing gear, and we would go fishing. There's a little river down here called the River Cole. Basically, it's the boundary line between Wiltshire and Oxfordshire. Yeah, so I caught my first fish, which was a dace. Oh goodness me, back in 1973, I think, 1972, 73. Anyway, there's a little river down there, that's the River Cole. So yeah, that's the River Cole down there, snaking its way. Yeah, towards wherever it goes to, I suppose. I think it goes to a golf course and through a couple of farms, but basically that's what it does. Just take you up a little bit, probably see it better that way. Yeah, so this is very much kind of Oxfordshire man and Wiltshire man sort of country. It's really got some kinks in it, isn't it? Did not realise it was as bendy as that. Anyway, it goes off in that direction there, over towards the A420, which is, that's it there, and wherever else really. Anyway, we're going to head on over towards the windmill. Yeah, it's a big wind farm down there. There's 5 turbines and there's a whole load of solar panels. I want to, but I'm not going to, okay. I'd love to try and fly through the gap, but that would be probably the end of the drone. Right, I'm going to fly you back to towards myself now. Yeah, so this video is very much like a commentary video, just a leisurely walk the dog video, and fly my drone and just get out the house and forget about all the crap which is going on, you know, on our planet at the moment, or what might go on. Yeah. I think all we can do really is just enjoy the things we do in our life. Sorry if it's a bit the picture's a bit skew with. It's probably because there's quite a bit of wind up there, perhaps, or I haven't quite centered the gimbal correctly. That's probably the reason why, I think. Come across a delightful little pathway just at the didn't know this was here actually, just at the bottom of the field. I think it leads up to a little farm, a place where I used to go to years ago as a child. On our little adventures we would go out somewhere, pack of sandwiches and a bottle of squash or something, fishing gear, and we would go down by the river and mess about in the river like kids do. And then we would go past this farm, and the young girl who was there, which was older than us at the time, used to come out with more drinks for us. It's just, those were the days. Those were the days. Yeah, they were indeed. I guess times were different back then. Children were allowed to go off and play, you know, they would go out for literally hours on end, and it just seemed it was a different time, a different world we were living in back then. These days things have changed so much. One, I don't think kids want to go out and have adventures like children back in the 60s and 50s and the 70s used to. Kids these days much would rather stay indoors playing the PlayStation and talking on the internet and doing stuff like that. I think kids back in the 60s, 50s and the 70s were probably a lot healthier physically and mentally than a modern day child. Yeah, I think when I this way, Cobby, he wants to go that way. Open your Cobby, we're going to go this way. Oh, that is stiff. God, goodness. There we go. Okay. But one thing which doesn't change is the course of a river. We're just coming up to the River Cole now. It's only a small river, but it's a nice place to just to come and stop, just to think about, you know, the time when you had here when you was a kid, when you was a child, all those years ago, when life just seemed to be so much simpler. Yeah, I think the most of the problems which we have in our life are probably self-inflicted. But when you're a child, you know, you got no care in the world really. You just come out here and you don't understand, you don't realise what life is all about, not until you get older. And now you're older, with all the issues, the troubles, you know, the worries of the world, the responsibilities and everything else, you sometimes wish that you were a kid again and turn the clock back, you know, 45 or 50 years or so. Find me a time machine. Is it possible, I wonder, to go back and relive those times which you once had when you were a child, when life just seemed to be so much simpler back then? Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, this bridge is new, although it looks old with the lichen on it. Trying to remember what the bridge was here before. I just think it was an ordinary kind of a concrete cattle bridge. But this is quite something, isn't it? It's only small, but it's a lot different to what it was when I was down here last. But as I said earlier, one thing which doesn't change is the course of the river. You know, you can have so much fun just as kids on a river. You know, so there's always someone who's going to fall in. You can do a bit of fishing, you know, you can do a bit of, I don't know, crayfish hunting or making dens and stuff, you know. Someone would fall in the water, which always gave us all a bit of a laugh, you know. Always used to come home with scratches and bruises and whatever else, and wet socks and wellies full of water, that kind of thing. It's all part of growing up. It is nice to I've got nothing in here for you, mate, I'm sorry. Literally just didn't have time to get anything for you. I've just got myself a flask of coffee, that's all I've got. Yeah, so what do you think about the new kind of variant then? It's looking pretty ominous, isn't it? Yeah, anyone would think that it was all planned. Now, what I can't get over is that, you know, we've had colds and we've had flu viruses around for millennia, thousands of years. You know, so why is it just recently they've decided to start with the restrictions and the lockdowns and the testing and the cancellation of people's lives? Why is that? Why are they doing it now? Why have they chosen to do it now and not like 20 or 30 years ago when the flu virus was wiping out 15 to 25,000 people a year in the UK? So many questions. And I mean, if they do decide to lock us down, my thought is, you know, what's been going on with Boris and the parties and, you know, whatever else. I think there was another department came out yesterday, Department of Transport, you know, headed is Grant Chaps. You know, they had a bit of a rave up. They come out and they said, hey, look, you know, we've had a bit of a rave up as well.
That's all, folks.
But when they're just flatly denying, Boris is flatly denying they had a party, and then he's going to turn around and maybe lock us down, you know, come January. I just think that is just super hypocritical of these people. Who's going to take any notice of him? I think the whole government have lost all credibility. You're okay, mate. You haven't got a clue what's going on, have you? You haven't got a clue. As long as you got your bed and you got your food and you got your walks, life's good for you, isn't it, eh? Yes. You let us human beings sort stuff out, but I tell you what, we can't sort the problems out. I do think that the problems which we're facing and gonna face are just too big for any human beings to sort out. I think we've gone beyond the pale now, the point of no return, if you like. I think the issues we've got in the world these days, I just think, you know, they're just too big. And it's not really our fault. You know, we get blamed for climate change, but we're only doing what we're told by the government. The government say, go out and buy yourself a diesel car, so we go out and buy ourselves a diesel car. Government say, no, we can do this, go on holidays, so we go on holidays. We do all these things which the government want us to do, and now it's all gone belly up, and now apparently we're to blame. You know, it's you, it's your fault, it's our fault. Well, hang on a minute, we're only doing what the government want us to do. It's the government's fault. Then the government turn around and say, right, now we're going to do this to you, electric cars. Now your heating bills are going to go up. It's going to cost you a lot more to go on holiday. So it's not our fault, it's the government's fault. They are responsible. We hold them responsible because we're only doing what we're told and allowed to do by the government. Come on, chappy. Here he goes, look. There we go. He's happy. He's happy. He's had his walk. He's had his walk. Right, so we've got about 3/4 of a mile, about a mile walk back to the car. It's probably going to get dark by the time I get back there, but it's been a lovely little walk out this afternoon. This was very much spontaneous and not planned at all in the slightest. I did want to go out somewhere, but I didn't know where I wanted to go. But this is a place where I've not been for a long time, and I think it's good to get back to those places. You know, for when you're a child, you grew up around here, you grew up around, you know, your place, wherever you are. It's always good to go back and to reminisce about the old times, when times back then used to be so different, so much simpler. The problems of the world were relatively small, you know, back then compared to what we have these days. I mean, back then we didn't have the migration crisis like we have in the UK at the moment across other parts of the world. We haven't got the climate issue, which we have now. It's a massive issue. Apparently, it's a massive issue. We never had that back in the 70s or the 80s, and other things as well. Just the whole lockdown situation, we never had that, you know. So things have changed so much, and I'm very sad to say that things have changed, not for the better but for the worse. And I can't see things getting any better soon. I'm sorry to be the bringer of bad tidings and bad news, but I just say it how I see it. I can't see things getting any better. I'm very blessed to be born when I was. I think anyone being born these days, I do really think that they are going to struggle. We had the best of times. We've had the best of times. And I think those times are rapidly running out. And I do think that tribulation, if you like, is here. If it ain't here, then it's just about to start. Anyway, Merry Christmas. Yeah, Merry Christmas. Yeah, right. Yeah, thanks, Andy. Merry Christmas to you too after that. But I'm just speaking my mind. This is the great thing about YouTube, great thing about the platform. You can say these things, you can speak your mind, you can let people know how you feel, put your voice out there, your opinions. But to be honest, I think most of us are probably thinking on the same lines. Yeah,